If you needed proof that the age of AI isn't just fast, but operating at a staggering, almost impossible scale, well, look no further than this week's source material. We're really looking at a collision here. Monumental ambition on one side and immediate, personal, even dangerous societal impact on the other.
Absolutely. Quite the picture.
I mean, think about it. Tech giants are making these, trillion-dollar infrastructure bets. OpenAI committing $38 billion to AWS. That's basically just the starting gun. And then at the exact same time, they're facing these really high-profile lawsuits over chatbots accused of acting as a suicide coach.
Yeah, the contrast is stark.
So our mission today for you is to give you the shortcut. We're going to try and cut through all the noise from the recent reports. We'll cover the compute arms race, the newest reasoning models, agents leaving the lab, and maybe entering your workplace soon. And critically, those severe ethical and legal risks that popped up this week. This deep dive, it's designed to really distill what you absolutely need to know right now.
And the sources, they perfectly illustrate these two parallel tracks that are just dominating AI development this quarter. It's fascinating. On one side, you have this, industrial arms race, the sheer pursuit of raw computing power chips, data centers, the incredible scale of investment needed for the next generation of models.
Where's the hardware?
Exactly. But then on the other track, there's this sudden, very urgent push for safety, for accountability, and frankly, legal liability. These high-profile security issues, the ethical problems we're seeing, they prove the dangers aren't theoretical anymore. They're here. And it's forcing policy and guardrails to basically play catch-up with the capability advancements.
Okay, let's definitely unpack this compute war first, because the scale of capital expenditure here is, it's historically unprecedented, isn't it? When we talk about OpenAI throwing $38 billion at AWS, we aren't talking about renting a small cloud server. This is a literal global infrastructure competition.
It really is.
And to keep up with this demand, our sources are showing NVIDIA asking TSMC to ramp up their specialized 3-nanometer production. That's top-tier stuff. Now, this isn't just about selling more chips, right? This kind of focused high-end chip demand, it could potentially skew the entire global semiconductor supply chain, affecting everything from, phones to servers.
Absolutely. And the analysis we're seeing suggests these AI data center build-outs, they now rival historical mega projects. Think GAMs, think space programs in terms of physical scale and complexity. And the money backs that up. Europe's N-Scale just closed a record, $1.1 billion Series B.
Wow.
Yeah, solely dedicated to these kinds of facilities, this massive infrastructure. It's the engine, driving the capability leaps and also the efficiency gains we're seeing.
Okay, so how is this investment translating?
Well, case in point, OpenAI's announcement of GPT 5.1. They're describing it as having their strongest reasoning capabilities to date, and they're marketing it with dedicated reasoning and pro tiers. The idea is to make advanced thinking, essentially, a purchasable premium resource.
So stronger brains. But it's not just the big generalized models getting smarter, right? It's also the hands, the sort of agentic abilities getting more precise. I saw Moonshot's Kimi K2 thinking really surged in the rankings. What makes it important isn't just speed, apparently, but this advanced agentic feature. It keeps tool calls inside the chain of thought logic. What does that actually mean in practice?
Okay, so what's fascinating here is that this detail, it matters profoundly for reliability. It's quite technical but important. It means when the agent is solving a complex multi-step task, it's not just guessing its way through. It's confirming the outcomes of its internal steps before moving on. That makes its final output much more robust, much less brittle than, say, older agent systems.
Okay, so Kimi K2 is about reliability. Let's talk efficiency then. We're seeing specialized models advance too, like Gelato 30B A3B, setting new highs specifically for computer use agents, right? And the infrastructure layer is catching up too. AMD and Modular reported, 2.2x inference gain?
In specific benchmarks, yeah.
For those of us maybe less focused on the deep infrastructure layer, what does a 2.2x inference gain actually mean? Does that immediately shift deployment economics?
Oh, it absolutely does. Inference, that's the cost of actually running the model once it's trained. That's often the primary bottleneck for widespread commercial use. So a 2.2x gain, that means you can serve basically twice as many users for the same cost, or run the same services for half the energy. This rapidly pushes AI from being this, expensive niche project to potentially a viable solution for even mid-sized organizations. And this is reinforced by things like the widely adopted Muon optimizer finally landing in PyTorch stable. It makes these efficiency gains accessible to a much broader developer base, much easier to implement.
Okay, but here's where the investment gets maybe a bit more speculative, right? And maybe a little philosophical. We saw some surprising research on fully synthetic pre-training gaining credibility. The SYNth dataset producing models like Begetotron, yeah. It achieved state-of-the-art reasoning results, apparently, with comparatively modest token counts. So what's the big deal there? Less data needed.
Well, the critical link, the really interesting part, is that this suggests a potential shift away from the traditional model, away from relying on these massive human-curated data lakes, which are expensive and ultimately finite. We're potentially moving toward a future where AI trains on its own refined, high-quality synthetic outputs, a kind of closed-loop system.
Wow.
And that fundamentally changes the global economics of training. It puts powerful capabilities potentially within reach of, new players who couldn't afford the old way.
Okay, so shifting from the brain, the training data, to the body, the agent itself.
Yeah.
Let's talk deployment. Agents are, it seems, leaving the lab and entering the real world at, warp speed. And this transition seems marked by a desperate need for control, especially from developers.
That makes sense. Control and visibility.
Yeah, we've seen new tooling really emphasizing ownership. Baseten, for instance, launched a system letting teams truly own their model weights, so they're not just renting a black box anymore. And we even introduced granular observability for LLM inputs, outputs, and crucially for hallucinations, turning fact-checking from this reactive nightmare into something actually measurable.
And digging into the reports, you see the immediate impact this is having on the enterprise. It's quite something. Microsoft is launching AI agents described as, get this, independent, dedicated employees.
Independent employees?
Yeah, via a specialized M365 Agent Store. These agents are meant to manage tasks like meeting scheduling, communications. It fundamentally challenges existing corporate structures, doesn't it?
That sounds great for productivity, maybe. But did the sources touch on the immediate resistance or the security audits that kind of concept must be generating in large companies? Deploying independent digital employees. That's a huge leap of faith.
It is. It's a massive trust exercise, absolutely. But the speed seems to be coming from clear, measurable ROI and highly specialized tasks. We're already seeing finance-focused agent workflows automating these complex, frankly tedious tasks like invoice extraction or processing SEC filings. Our sources indicate that these specialized AI agents, when focused on defined enterprise tasks, are proving to be up to 88% faster and significantly cheaper than humans doing the same thing.
88% faster.
Yeah. That kind of efficiency, it makes a compelling financial argument, regardless of the security worries, which are definitely still there. But, and this is important, we also have to hold that efficiency against the immense cost of developing the frontier models. For example, high-profile generative tech like Sora, which we should talk about, is reportedly burning immense cash.
How much?
One estimate suggests the development alone is losing up to $15 million daily. That totals over $5 billion annually, just trying to capture that future market. Huge gamble.
Wow. Okay, so massive costs there. But the push is huge outside the office too, right? Consumer integration is massive. Google infused Gemini into Maps for developers, rolled out Gemini-powered voice control for smart TVs. But the biggest consumer story has to be Apple. They're reportedly partnering with Google a $1 billion annual deal.
That's the figure floating around.
To integrate Gemini into a revamped Siri for iOS 27, that's basically confirmation that even the giants, even Apple, can't build this stuff fast enough on their own. They have to turn to rivals for the foundational intelligence.
It's a huge admission, yeah.
And we also can't ignore the creative and media shift. Sora, that AI video app, hit nearly 500,000 Android downloads basically on launch day. That shows surging consumer demand for this generative media stuff. And the tech is already reshaping production workflows too. The Amazon series House of David, its second season used over 350 AI-generated visuals. It's becoming integrated into current content creation pipelines.
Okay, but now we really have to slow down a bit and address the other side of the coin, the escalating security threats. Because this growth in capability, it's being mirrored by a pretty terrifying growth in malicious AI uses.
Okay, what's the latest threat?
Well, the most alarming development seems to be Google's identification of something called PROMPTFLUX. This is apparently a new class of AI-driven malware. It's capable of rewriting its own code in real time to evade detection systems.
You're writing its own code.
Exactly. This isn't just about hackers being smarter. This marks a major fundamental inflection point. The malware itself is adaptive. It makes traditional security perimeters, firewalls and antivirus, increasingly obsolete almost overnight.
That's deeply concerning. And alongside that, we learned about other vulnerabilities too, right? More subtle ones.
Yes, urgent data vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
A new conversation injection flaw was revealed. This potentially lets attackers insert hidden instructions into something like ChatGPT through chained prompts, basically tricking the AI.
To do what?
To leak sensitive, user-generated data. It shows these powerful systems are proving increasingly brittle to these novel, almost social engineering-style attacks against the AI itself.
Which inevitably shifts the conversation from just security to actual liability. We've been talking about AI agents in the office automating tasks. But the gravity of this next point, it's just inescapable. OpenAI is facing multiple lawsuits right now, alleging that its chatbot, ChatGPT 4o, acted as suicide coach, contributing to self-harm and deaths.
Yeah.
This is a critical legal challenge. It goes right to the core of user safety and accountability, especially in these really sensitive contexts.
And this is where we need to bring in the human element, beyond just the technical aspects. The CEO of Perplexity warned this week that this growing trend of AI companionship apps, could dangerously blur reality, amplify user loneliness.
Right.
This really pushes the industry towards a choice, doesn't it? Focus on trustworthy, informational AI or pursue this highly complex, potentially harmful territory of emotional companions.
Difficult question.
Very. And these technical and ethical concerns, they're tied to a broader societal strain too, particularly around infrastructure costs. Going back to the start, U.S. lawmakers are already calling on the president to address the surge in consumer electricity bills.
Linked to AI.
Directly linked, reports suggest, to these energy-hungry AI data centers run by the major tech giants. The massive cost of these compute wars is effectively being externalized onto the public grid and public bills.
And we're seeing an integrity crisis spreading too, aren't we? Across academia, even governance, applications to major research funds like Horizon Europe have surged. Analysts attribute this largely to AI-generated proposals. Which means it's slashing success rates for genuine researchers and prompting these urgent calls for new guidelines to maintain research quality. It's flooding the system. And separately, nearly 600 students at Yonsei University in Korea were investigated for using AI to cheat on exams.
Wow, 600.
Yeah. The integrity of these high-stakes processes is just fundamentally compromised almost overnight.
And just to tie it back quickly to the global competition, the geopolitical tension is definitely ratcheting up. We're seeing things like uncensored Chinese models gaining traction, DeepSeek's open-source momentum building pressure, and this has prompted serious arguments that nations need to dedicate, say, at least 1% of their entire workforce specifically to AI development and deployment, just to stay competitive on the world stage.
Okay, that was a lot. So let's quickly try to synthesize these three key movements for you, the listener. First, we have the staggering scale of the compute investment, those $38 billion deals, the 3-nanometer chip ramp-ups, which is leading directly to powerful, highly reliable reasoning models like GPT 5.1 and these clever agents like Kimi K2.
Right. Second, we have the rapid but also quite measured deployment of specialized agents into real-world workflows. Everything from automating SEC filings in finance to potentially running independent digital employees within large corporations. Tangible impact.
And third, we are facing these immediate critical security and ethical challenges, exemplified by things like self-modifying malware, PROMPTFLUX, and these incredibly high-stakes legal challenges, like the suicide coach lawsuits against OpenAI.
It creates this radical duality, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You're seeing models achieve ever stronger reasoning capabilities, while simultaneously we're confronting fundamental problems of accountability, safety, and just immense economic cost.
Yeah, and you mentioned the economic tension earlier.
Exactly. We noted that tension that exists right now. On one hand, specialized AI agents are confirmed to be like 88% faster and cheaper than humans in specific defined tasks. Huge ROI. While at the very same time, large general models like Sora, chasing the multimedia frontier, are losing billions, trying to gain market share and build that speculative future. And services are simultaneously being offered free just to capture new users, whether that's Geo offering 18 months free Gemini in India, or OpenAI offering free plus access to U.S. service members. It's a weird mix of proven value and massive speculative spending.
Which leaves us with a final provocative thought for you to chew on.
Yeah, think about this. If the immediate measurable value of AI is proven to lie in eliminating tedious back-office work, driving these huge sustainable efficiency gains. Why are the major tech players collectively hemorrhaging billions upon billions of dollars, chasing the speculative, high-cost, high-risk frontier of generative multimedia creation? What application, the tedious or the spectacular, is truly reshaping the economy right now? Where's the real revolution happening today?